Hello, good morning. It is 11 o'clock. It is the 21st day of August 2021. It is a very foggy, cold, Portlandy kind of day here in Ventura, California, though really I have no reason to complain. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, who hates the weather, the OGGM, and I'm drinking soup. Occasionally, I like to take a break from news and either complain about something or just sort of comment on something and go, Now, more often than not, those comments are taken as complaints, and I receive a lot of ugly responses to them. So first and foremost, I'm not complaining. I'm just going, And second, if you are offended in any way, shape, or form about me talking about the mechanics of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you should probably stop watching this. I'll take a break while you think about it. Okay, I gave my content warning. You know what I'm going to talk about, so you don't have anything to say. So, as you know, I preview the world of tabletop role-playing game news and articles frequently in order to create the content for this vlog. And I have recently noticed over the past 2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer, but I first actually paid attention to it about 2 weeks ago, several articles on multiclassing in 5e. Now, some of these articles are just the same article copied and pasted, and a few of them are the same article just rewritten to address more specific aspects of multiclassing. But generally, it seems to me, and I could be completely wrong, but generally it seems to me that based upon the articles that I've seen, and there's been about 12 or 15 of them over the past 2 weeks, again, there's probably been more, I just haven't really consciously been aware of them. I just consciously started becoming aware of them about 2 weeks ago and started going, is multiclassing still a thing in 5e? Do people still not understand it? And I will be the first to admit that yes, the way multiclassing is written in the player's handbook, it's very difficult to understand, especially if you're talking about spellcasters. The examples aren't very good. The actual whole page and description and talking about how multiclassing works feels very rushed and doesn't really explain it very well. Probably because when they were designing 5e, multiclassing doesn't really feel like it was a thing. I mean, 5e sort of feels like you could just play one class all the way, and with all the options that are available to you, you could tinker with just that fighter or that monk or that wizard, and between with feats and builds and just everything that's available to you, do what you want, and you wouldn't really need to dip into another class. So it kind of feels like they just sort of brushed over them. Because I will admit, it took me about a year to figure out multiclassing, and then only after somebody explained it to me. Now, if you go to the DM's guide and read the section on multiclassing, it's a little bit better explained, but really you have to go online and read some of the articles that were written about multiclassing back when a couple of years ago to really see the step-by-steps how it works. And it is confusing because of proficiency bonus, and especially with spells. But if you just sort of actually see a written down number-by-number example of it, then it becomes clear. The spells are still sort of confusing if you're like multiclassing to spellcasting class, like sorcerer, warlock, or whatever. Not sure why you would do that, but I know people have. And just how many spells you get and how many spells you can cast and which spells you can dip into, and can you trade one sorcerer spell for a spell from that class. That is still could have been explained better, and there have been online articles that have explained it better, but 5th edition's been around for what? 6 years now? 7 years? If people are still having issues with understanding multiclassing in 5th edition that I've seen consciously been made aware of, at least 12 to 15 articles over the last 2 weeks talking about and addressing multiclassing, then obviously, yes, people are still having issues with understanding how it works, or maybe it's just now multiclassing's become a thing because people are feeling limited in 5th edition with what they can do, which seems sort of counterproductive because if anything, 5th edition has been about options. I mean, look at Tasha's options. Look at Volos, look at Mordecai's, look at Xanthers, look at Tasha's options. Post Tasha, they have really just opened the door to what kind of options are available to your character. So if you still feel like you can't really min-max build the character you want without dipping into another class, and if you still can't understand how the multi-classing dip works, and yes, again, back to our original statement, if you just go by the player's handbook, it is very hard to understand, especially if you're trying to be a spellcaster. You really have to just see it sort of written out through a more in-depth article. And if you go to like websites like Giants in the Playground, where they have really in-depth gone through how a multi-class build would work, then it sort of works out a lot better. With just reading it, yeah. But if you actually see, at this level I can do bop, 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 and understand, I don't get double proficiency bonuses. I only get all the abilities from one class, and how the spell casting works, and I think that's sort of the main confusion, the spell casting, then, yeah, it's not that hard. So again, why am I seeing 15 articles over the past 2 weeks, possibly longer, about the multi-classing subject? If it's still something people are having an issue with, then maybe it's something that really needs to be addressed by Wizards of the Coast, and maybe it's something people really need to think about, and maybe it's just an issue with D&D 5e that multi-classing is still a thing, because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. 5e is easy. Multi-classing is written badly, but it's still, once you understand it, pretty easy. And if in this point in time in the evolution of the 5e mechanics, you as a player are feeling like you don't have enough options post Tasha's, then maybe 5e isn't the game for you, because there are a lot of options. And you don't really need to dip into another class. Everything you need should be in your class, especially with all the options and new feats and everything that are available to you. If you really need to dip into another class and you're not understanding it, then there's something intrinsically wrong. I apologize for that. Feels like my neighbors are having another fight, so I'll wrap this up before you have to hear anything inappropriate. So why am I seeing this? Is multi-classing a really issue? Still an issue? If it is, then where is the intrinsic problem? Because you have options available to you. And if for some reason people are only now finally starting to dip into the idea of multi-classing, then again, there's something wrong, because there's so many options available to you. Why is it suddenly players are feeling like I can only do what I want to do if I take 3 levels of another class? That makes me feel like people are saying, 5e is limited. And if at this level point in the evolution of 5e, you can't build what you want, and you feel like it's constraining and it doesn't have the options you want, then maybe it's time to look at a different game. Not that I have anything against 5e. As a system, I love 5e. Wizards of the Coast politics, not so much. But as a system, 5e I love. And there is no class idea that I have come up with that I haven't been able to build with 5e, and I've only ever dipped into multi-classing once with one character build, and that was 1 level of Cleric in a 11th level wizard. So yeah, why is this still a thing in 2021 post Tasha's that I'm seeing this many articles? If you have any commentary on this or any ideas, let me know. If you want to say something negative, please feel free to. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Help me hit 1,000 subs. Until then, cross-class, multi-class, it doesn't matter. It's just a game. Get off my lawn.